I am a multimillionaire, not because of what I hold in my hands, but because of what I dared to hold in my imagination long before the world could see it. What if I told you that saying, I am a multimillionaire, and meaning it, can unlock a reality you've never dared to live? Everything begins with your concept of self. Before any money arrives, before any bank account increases, before you see a single outward sign, there must be an internal agreement, a silent decree within you that says, I am already that which I seek. This is the first and most crucial step in wealth manifestation. It cannot be bypassed. The moment you declare, I am a multimillionaire, not as a statement of hope, but as a state of being, you set in motion the unseen forces that shape this world. It is not magic, but law. There is no wealth outside of consciousness. The money you see, the houses you desire, the lifestyle you long for, they are all shadows, reflections of a deeper inner reality. And what is that reality? It is the awareness of being. When you say, I am, whatever follows is planted into the soil of creation. If you say, I am poor, then you are poor regardless of the amount in your wallet. If you say, I am wealthy, and persist in that claim, then wealth must come. Not because the world gives it to you, but because the world mirrors you. Consciousness is the only bank that matters. It holds every currency, every opportunity, every version of you already complete. The problem is that most people are trying to withdraw from the bank of life without first making a deposit into their consciousness. They want money, but they identify as lacking. They want riches, but speak of debt. They visualize success, but secretly feel unworthy. And so they remain in conflict. And the world reflects that contradiction. But when a man or woman decides, even in the smallest room, under the harshest light, with nothing in their pocket, to inwardly assume the feeling of wealth, they have already changed their future. Now, this assumption must not be idle. It must be felt. Thought alone is not enough. You must feel the truth of your new state. Sit quietly and dare to feel what it would be like to already be a multimillionaire. What would you wear? How would you walk? What would you order at a restaurant? How would you tip? Who would you call? Where would you live? This is not mere fantasy. It is creation. Creation begins with inner identification, not outer acquisition. When you inwardly adopt the consciousness of wealth, you align with a state in which all things are added unto you. Most people live from the outside in. They let circumstances define their self-image. If the account balance is low, they feel poor. If the bills are unpaid, they feel burdened. But the truth is reversed. Everything flows from the inside out. First you feel yourself to be rich, and then riches come. First you assume the position, and then the world rearranges to accommodate that truth. There is no other way. You are not trying to attract money. You are revealing the version of yourself that already has it. I once knew a man who, though he had very little, walked as though he were a prince. His clothes were modest, his meals simple, yet he carried an invisible robe of dignity and abundance around him. People were drawn to him. Opportunities came not because he chased them, but because he embodied them. His inner wealth preceded the outer wealth. And in time, the world responded accordingly. You cannot fake this awareness. It is not about pretending or fooling others. It is about convincing yourself. You must saturate your being with the feeling that you already are what you wish to become. Say to yourself each morning, I am a multi-millionaire. And then let the rest of your day be consistent with that state. Speak as one who is no longer in need. Act with confidence. Make decisions from the place of already having. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. Now let me warn you. The senses will deny it. The world will show you the opposite. But do not retreat. This is the testing period. The outer must first echo the past before it reflects the new. Persist. Continue in your assumption. Feel it when it's hard. Declare it when you don't see results. And one day the mirror will shift. Your outer world will bow to your inner decree. When you say, I am a multimillionaire, you are not lying. You are creating. Truth is not what you see. Truth is what you accept. The world bends to belief, not the other way around. Therefore, make your belief richer than your surroundings. Live inside that belief as though nothing else exists. Soon you will look back and wonder how it happened, but you will know it began the moment you claimed your inner fortune. So I say to you now, stand before the mirror, not as a beggar of life, but as its author. Look into your own eyes and say it, not timidly, but with authority. I am a multimillionaire. Say it again. Say it until the sound of it becomes natural, until the feeling of it becomes familiar. Say it until the world cannot help but agree with you. Because when the inner bank is full, The outer cannot remain empty. True wealth does not begin with effort, hustle, or savings. It begins with assumption. What you assume to be true of yourself, persistently and with feeling, must become your reality. You do not manifest riches by reaching outward. You manifest riches by assuming inwardly that they are already yours. The error most make is in believing that the path to money begins with action, when in fact it begins with consciousness. You must start not with a strategy, but with an identity. You must begin not by moving toward wealth, but by moving from it. When you say, I am a multimillionaire, you are not affirming a future, you are selecting a present. You are claiming the state of being in which money already flows, not one day, but now. The world responds not to what you want, but to what you are. And what you are is determined by what you dare to assume. So you must assume wealth before any visible evidence exists, and hold to that assumption with unwavering faith. You must feel its presence while your pockets remain empty. You must taste the fruit of the tree before it has blossomed. To assume is not to pretend. Pretending is shallow and fleeting. It is an act performed for others. Assumption, however, is deep. It is a silent declaration to self. It is the unseen cause behind every seen effect. When you assume wealth, you are not saying, I will become rich. You are saying, I am rich now. And you live, breathe, and move from that reality, regardless of appearances. All transformation begins with a shift in consciousness. You do not wait for your world to change before you change your mind. You change your mind, and the world cannot help but follow. This is the principle behind all creation. The outer must obey the inner, but the inner must first claim dominion. Now, the feeling of wealth is the key. It is not enough to merely say the words. You must generate the emotional tone of the reality you are assuming. You must walk through your world as one who is already rich. You must dine at your table, however modest, as though it were set in gold. You must rise each morning not with the anxiety of lack, but with the composure of overflow. This internal atmosphere will harden into your external experience. You are not waiting for wealth to arrive. It is already present in the invisible, but only assumption brings it into form. When you say, I am a multimillionaire, and allow yourself to truly feel it, not with desperation, but with ease, you open the door for all things necessary to support that claim. People, circumstances, opportunities, everything begins to rearrange itself to reflect the state you have entered. Everything begins to rearrange itself to reflect the state you have entered. It cannot be otherwise. There was once a man who lived in a modest flat, worked a simple job, and by all accounts had no wealth. But he made a decision. He chose to live as though he were already rich, not in outward extravagance, but in inner security. He no longer entertained thoughts of scarcity. He no longer acted from fear. He no longer begged the world to support him. Instead, he quietly walked in the world as one who possessed, not lacked. He visualized. But more importantly, he assumed. And one by one, the facts of life fell in line with the image he held. New positions came. Unseen opportunities emerged. Within months, he lived outwardly as he had lived inwardly. This is not fiction. This is law. You see, the law does not care what the facts are. It only responds to what you believe about yourself. If you believe yourself to be rich, the law brings circumstances to confirm it. If you believe yourself to be poor, the law obeys that too. It is not biased. It is exact. That is why you must be careful not to speak of your desires as if they are distant. Do not say, I hope to be rich. Do not say, one day I'll be a millionaire. Say, I am a multimillionaire, and let your actions, your moods, your reactions reflect that state. Walk as though the bridge is already built. Feel as though the money is already deposited. To assume is to take something as true before it is seen. But assumption is not blind, it is visionary. You are not ignoring reality, you are selecting a higher one. You are not being delusional, you are being deliberate. Assumption is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It is the golden thread that pulls your future into your now. And if you persist in it, it must manifest. There is no if, there is only when. The secret to wealth is not to earn it. The secret is to become it. And you become it by assuming it now. Let the world say what it will. Let your bank statement say otherwise. Let the mirror reflect lack. But inside you, hold the truth. You are a multi-millionaire. Not becoming, not hoping to be, but already. That identity will attract to it everything it needs to express itself. This is the law of life. and it waits only for your assumption. Your inner dialogue is the currency of creation. Every thought you whisper to yourself, every sentence you repeat in your mind becomes a silent transaction with the invisible. If you speak poverty, you deposit poverty. If you speak wealth, you authorize abundance. There is no external power shaping your life that did not first pass through the gate of your own internal conversation. That is where the real transactions occur, not in banks or contracts, but in the still private place within, where you tell yourself who and what you are. When you wake in the morning and say, I am overwhelmed, your day bends to obey. When you rise and declare, I am a multi-millionaire, and feel it as truth, the world quietly, subtly, begins to reconfigure itself to meet the new command. The spoken word has creative power, but the unspoken word within holds even greater weight, for it is unobserved by others, yet constantly broadcasted to the self. The most dangerous thing is not what people say about you, but what you say about yourself when no one else is listening. The one who controls their inner language holds the keys to the kingdom. You cannot speak of lack and expect overflow. You cannot affirm failure and expect fortune. You must become a master of internal speech, guiding every syllable toward the identity you wish to embody. Begin to notice the running narrative in your mind. What do you say when money comes up? Do you shrink back into limitation? Or do you rise into confidence? Do you say, I can't afford that? Or do you say, I am wealthy enough to choose what I desire freely? There is no such thing as idle speech, especially when it concerns the self. Every I am is a seed, and each repetition waters that seed. So if you say, I am struggling often enough, that struggle grows roots. But when you shift to, I am prosperous, and carry that declaration in your heart, it must bear fruit in due season. The law is mechanical. It does not ask if you deserve what you declare. This only gives form to what you consistently affirm as your truth. I knew a woman once who came to me filled with worry. She said, I've tried everything, but money escapes me. I asked her, what is your inner speech? She looked confused. I said, when you walk through the grocery store, what do you say in your mind? She admitted that she constantly thought, I hope I can afford this. I shouldn't buy that. This is too expensive. I told her that her outer world was simply playing back the script she was authoring inside. I invited her to rewrite that script. Quietly but persistently, she began to change her tone. She walked through that same store and thought, I can buy whatever I wish. I am abundant. Money flows to me easily. She did not shout it. She did not announce it to others, but she repeated it within until it became natural. Within weeks, unexpected money appeared. Job offers arrived. And most importantly, her sense of identity shifted from scarcity to sufficiency. The world responds to you, not by your actions alone, but by the vibration of your assumption. And your assumption is largely formed through your inner dialogue. That dialogue is not merely psychological, it is creative, it is a vibration, a frequency, a living signal. When you speak to yourself as a multimillionaire, even if nothing in your external world reflects it yet, you are tuning your entire field of experience to that state. Hold it long enough and it becomes unavoidable. You must become mindful of casual phrases. Statements like, money is hard to come by, or I always have bad luck, seem harmless, but they are destructive prayers. They are negative affirmations, rehearsed with emotion. Instead, replace them with sentences that honor your desired identity. Say, money comes to me in expected and unexpected ways. Say, I am in the right place at the right time. Say, I am financially free and emotionally at peace. Repeat these not because they are true now, but because they become true through repetition. Reprogramming the subconscious begins in conversation. Speak gently but firmly to yourself. When the world tempts you to complain, hold your tongue inwardly. When lack appears, do not react, respond. Affirm silently, this is old data. I am now operating from a new code. I am a multimillionaire. I walk in wealth. I radiate abundance. Even if no one sees the change yet, you will feel it. And once you feel it, the work is already underway. This is not about impressing others. It is not about convincing the world. It is about aligning yourself with truth before it becomes visible. Wealth is not a number. It is an identity. You wear it through language long before you wear it on your body. Speak it. Own it. Return to it every time your mind wanders. Inner speech is not a ritual. It is a habit. And habits build identities. You will know your inner speech is working when silence begins to feel abundant, when you no longer need to see proof, and when your words carry more certainty than your circumstances. This is the mark of the one who creates from within. They speak as if the world has already yielded to their vision, because eventually, it always does. There is only one secret behind all wealth, and it is feeling. Not effort, not knowledge, not connections, but feeling. It is not the world that determines what you will have. It is the vibration you consistently dwell in that shapes the entire landscape of your life. When you declare, I am a multimillionaire, but continue to feel like someone struggling, then what you create is not based on the words, but the feeling behind them. Words without feeling are like seeds thrown on stone, but words wrapped in the feeling of certainty, they grow, they bloom, they must bear fruit. You cannot fake this. You cannot chant wealth and feel lack and expect change. There is a sacred bridge between the unseen and the seen, and that bridge is emotion. It is the emotional tone behind your assumption that activates the law. Every state of being has a vibration, and that vibration is emotional in nature. So when you feel poor, even if you say you are rich, life responds to your feeling, not your phrasing. It is not about positive thinking. It is about embodied knowing. A man can walk in silence and produce more results than one who recites 100 affirmations, if that silence is saturated with feeling. Ask yourself now, how would I feel if I truly were a multimillionaire? Not how would I act, not what would I buy, but how would I feel in the quiet of the morning, in the solitude of night? If wealth already lived in me, would I feel safe? Would I feel powerful? Would I feel grateful? Would I feel secure, calm, generous? These are the frequencies that you must occupy. You must begin to generate them before the world justifies them. And this is where most fail. They wait to feel rich after the money comes. But the truth is reversed. You feel rich, and then the money comes. The law works by substitution. To change what is appearing, you must change what you are feeling. If you feel anxiety around money, that state must continue to perpetuate itself until it is replaced. You cannot resist it. You must replace it. And you do so not by fighting the feeling, but by entering a new one. The most powerful method is to enter a scene in your imagination where you are already living the life of wealth. Do not see it from the outside. Do not observe it as a movie. Enter it. Be in it. Feel the chair in your luxurious office. Feel the texture of the clothes. Hear the quality of your own voice as you speak from power. The more detailed the inner scene, the stronger the feeling. And the stronger the feeling, the faster the manifestation. There was a time when I had little. I did not pretend to be rich in public. I did not broadcast my desire. I simply closed the door to the world, and within myself, I lived another life. I felt the sheets of fine linen on a bed I did not yet own. I ran my fingers across wooden desks that hadn't been built. I felt the weight of heavy notes in a wallet that sat empty in reality. And it was not fantasy. It was an inner choice, a selection of state. I felt it real, and that was all that mattered. For what I felt, I became. It is impossible to sustain a feeling without it producing an effect. Just as sustained anger will bring conflict, sustained wealth consciousness will bring financial increase. The law cannot be fooled, but it also cannot be stopped. You are not asking for wealth, you are accepting it inwardly. That acceptance must come through feeling. For feeling is the language of the subconscious. The subconscious is the womb of creation, and it does not receive words, it receives vibrations. When you feel something to be true, it accepts it as done. That is why trying too hard often delays the very thing you seek. Effort implies that you do not yet have, but when you feel something is already yours, you no longer strain. You relax. You breathe differently, you carry a new stillness. And that stillness is what creates. You must become still inside the state you desire. Not restless, not obsessed, but still. That is a sign you have assumed correctly. Many ask, how do I know if I'm doing it right? The answer is simple. Check the feeling. If you are anxious, then you are imagining from lack. If you are peaceful, then you are imagining from fulfillment. The key is not to visualize harder, it is to feel deeper. And the only way to feel deeper is to make it familiar. So return to your scene again and again. Not to force it, but to dwell in it. Let it become your inner home. This is how you shift your destiny, not through toil, but through internal alignment. You are not working toward riches. You are waking up as one who already has them. That feeling, once natural, commands the outer world to obey. The money will come, the channels will open. But none of that is your concern. Your only job is to feel now what you used to postpone for the future. Step into the state, inhabit the vibration, and the rest will follow as surely as day follows night. So now you understand that wealth is not a place you arrive, it is a state you occupy. The secret has never been hidden from you. It has always lived within the words you speak to yourself, the identity you dare to assume, and the feelings you choose to accept as real. You are not moving toward millions. You are moving into the version of yourself that already holds them. There is nothing to chase. There is only something to awaken. You do not attract money, you assume it. You do not wait for proof, you generate the emotion. You do not wrestle with conditions, you silently rewrite them by entering a new inner dialogue. Every time you say, I am a multimillionaire, and you feel it, truly feel it, you reshape the entire structure of your world. No one may notice at first, but stay with the feeling. Protect it, dwell in it, because the moment you persist in that state, the outer world must eventually give way. Let others call it delusion, let circumstances argue. You remain faithful to your inner web. Because your only responsibility is to believe long enough, deeply enough, and feelingly enough for the world to catch up with the reality you've already accepted. And it always does.